All right, guys, today I'm going to share with you how I developed perfect pronation on my serve and how you can too. Now, the first thing I did to master pronation on my serve was to injure my wrist. Don't worry, you don't have to injure your wrist, but it did help me because I wasn't able to do this movement. I just had surgery on my wrist, so I can do this without any pain. Don't have a lot of range of motion. I'm sure most of you can move your wrist further than this, but I wasn't able to do this movement. Even now, I don't want to feel my wrist being in that vulnerable position where I'm snapping my wrist forwards like this. So what could I do? Well, I could limit my wrist movement and just keep everything locked and move the racket head like this. But if I want to move the racket head quick, my only option was to rotate my forearm. Now this is the perfect service motion for bringing that racket head through quick and pronating. You don't need any wrist movement. And if you can limit the amount of wrist movement, it's actually going to train you to pronate better. So what you may want to try is holding the racket really tight, making sure your wrist doesn't move too much. Take away the ability for this wrist motion where you're snapping it like this, you're going to have to find something else to do. And what you'll find is pronation. So first couple of serves of the day here, I'm going to go slow, keep my wrist really tight. I'm going to have to squeeze on a little bit tighter than I would like to, but again, we're just developing this skill. And what you'll see is my wrist doesn't move at all from this fist position. Let's zoom in on it a little bit. Now the same thing applies when I'm hitting a slice serve. If I'm coming across and around the ball a little bit, I don't want to do this. What else is there to do? Well, once I cut across the ball, I'm just going to allow my arm to rotate. There's momentum there. There's energy that needs to go somewhere, and either I'm going to be really stiff, chop it, or I'm going to use my wrist, or I have to allow the arm to rotate. So here's a slice serve. You're going to see the same thing. Holding onto the racket pretty tight, not allowing that wrist to move, and forcing my arm to rotate. Even if I took this to the extreme and I threw it really wide and spun around it like this, a little bit more effective from that side, but you'll see that same thing. Arm wants to rotate because I've not given it another option. All right, so let's talk about a topspin serve or a kick serve. I like to do the same thing, just rotate my arm. A lot of people don't do this though. I know there's some good tennis players out there with good kick serves who brush up the ball and then allow a lot of wrist involvement here. I don't like it for a few reasons. The main one being there's just a lot of pressure on the wrist and you could get injured. But I also don't think it's a good way of slowing down the racket. I've said this before, but if you have a good brake system, it gives you the confidence and the ability to speed things up, to accelerate, knowing you can slow things down well. Now, if you don't have good brakes in your car, you can still accelerate, but it might not be a good idea. And I don't think this is a great brake system. If we brush up the ball, get the racket going up and out, and then allow that energy to continue and just to rotate the arm to continue and to do a very effortless and efficient movement, for me, that gives me a lot more confidence to accelerate, and I feel like I can really brush up that ball with a lot of acceleration. I personally can't do that if I know that my wrist is going to be taking on a lot of pressure. So again, I'm going to restrict my wrist movements. Don't use it at all. hold it really tight, keep that wrist stable, and all I'm going to do is rotate the arm. Now, if you're looking for more advice on how to hit a kick serve, there is a free video in the description below, a 90-minute video, how to hit a kick serve. Check it out. I'm going to do one a little bit faster. That'll do.